To be completely frank, in these days when I look what people play on their machines of choices, it's always the vastly popular array of games or the most popular gaming genres. It's like they are never fed up with oversaturated gaming market containing yet another hack and slash, open world game, FPS with the same formula made all over again. When's the last time you played, I don't know, point and click adventure? Or maybe puzzle game? Never? I certainly cannot blame you for that at all. Giant companies with their lack of forbearance to anything remotely fresh just want to spit out games that will generate immense popularity and thus make big financial returns. You cannot make GTA Online money with the games like Broken Sword, Myst, Devil Dice or Intelligent Cube. So no wonder some of the still extant genres, puzzle genre I'm especially looking at your direction, are in the hands of the indie game makers. But back in the day, things were rather different. Certain PlayStations were bundled with a Demo 1 disc that contained, among many great games like Gran Turismo, Spyro the Dragon, Tombi, etc., a game called Kula World, or Roll Away in North America. It contained 3 levels plus bonus level and that's it. More than enough to make me exonerable, I assure you. I just had to own it. And so I did. What exactly is Kula World for all of you who never got a chance to play it? Well, to be laconic, it's a puzzling platformer game. After all, you're a mere beach ball, rolling around and jumping onto the platforms collecting stuff while avoiding traps, pitfalls or enemies. For each level, you need to collect a certain amount of keys and reach the exit before the time runs out. Simple enough, yeah? Do not let the game's Lego domain beginnings fool you. There is this mechanic that can be best described as shifting gravity. If a platform allows you to roll to the side, you'll notice that the camera is still behind you and gravity sets itself accordingly. It will always feel like you are on the top of the platform, even though you might be under it. If you cannot comprehend the slightest on what I'm on about, just watch the video and it will become apparent soon enough. It's easy to follow where you are and where you need to go when the levels are simple enough, but wait till you reach high level numbers. You will feel disoriented more times than you would want to admit. But once you work out these challenging stages and nail those exits, you will feel very exhilarated. There are 150 levels to beat in Kula World, and when you do that, you will unlock 20 additional levels that will surely test your orientational and platforming skill set. Let me tell you, if you think beating all 150 levels was an excruciating ordeal, these 20 extra levels will wipe the floor with your face. A face that will more often than not display a staggering degree of anger and disbelief once you see how tough they are. But if you're up to some serious challenge, be my guest. Beat him. I already said that the main goal is to collect the keys and hit the exit mark. While you do that, try to snake some coins and jewels for extra points. Points save lives, literally. Lose a life and see the certain amount of points being deducted as you get the chance to start the level all over again. I'm sure you can guess it. Lose all the points and it's game over. Every 5 levels, you are given the offer to save the progress, so even if you somehow manage to get a game over, the worst you can do is get yourself taken back by maximum 5 levels. You can also collect fruits. If you collect 5 of them, you will grant access to the bonus stages. They are very trippy in color schemes. This time, the goal is to touch every platform in order to change their color. Shift the color on every platform and you win, but if you fail, you won't lose a life. You'll just lose your chance to repeat the stage by being thrown out to the regular levels. To make your playthrough diversified and to create challenge, you'll stumble across several quite interesting items. For instance, drugs that slow you down while warping your vision and consequently speed up time for a brief moment, hourglass that will shift your timer, that is also hourglass, an item that can work for or against you, depending on how much sand you have left in it. If you shift it too early, while you have a lot of time, you'll probably have few seconds left before it's time out. But if you shift it while there is a few seconds left, now you have a lot of sand or a lot more time to breathe. Of course, there are items like shades that will make invisible platforms appear, drugs that make your ball jump permanently for the level and so on. Come to think of it, this game is riddled with drugs. What's the message this game is trying to convey? As you progress the game, the levels change too. Their overall appearance changes as well as background music. Clever gaming design gradually introduces you to new mechanics like breaking platforms, burning platforms, Ice platforms, lasers, teleports, enemies condoning recalcitrant moveset, arrows for a forced direction, etc. This is what makes the game difficult as level number increases, but it's not a steep learning curve. Kula World is never boring. Just when you master a certain set of levels and mechanics, everything changes or things mix up. And when you realize that all you can do is move forward, turn around and jump, you know that this is a great game built around the premise so simple everyone can immediately play the game without tutorials or hand holding. Yes, sometimes a few levels will put your journey to a halt due to their toughness, a difficulty spike in a way, but the next level or 10 will probably feel like walk through the park. For those keen on dissecting the levels to the bone, they'll probably notice another kind of exit. The usual ones are green, but this one is white and transparent, so it's hard to notice by afar. Reach it and you will enter a hidden level. Hidden levels are set in outer space, platforms are semi-transparent, your balls look like a marble and has keys and exit. They look pretty trippy by design, but guess what? In North American and European versions of the game, you cannot gain access to all 10 hidden levels as some of the transparent exits are out of reach. Only in Japanese version, Kula Quest, you are able to do so. What a shame, since Kula Quest doesn't have voice acting nor does it have too much text. Maybe it's the definitive version to own? Apart from tutorial level, everything else is the same. So, what is the point of all of this, you might ask? Well, since these days, at least in gaming universum, a lot of attention goes into so much remasters, remakes and stuff, I was shortly contemplating about what game deserves to undergo such a treatment. Immediately Kula World pops to mind. After all, asking prices for obtaining a proper copy for PlayStation 1 will make you orchestrate a bank job, or get yourself a proper mortgage just to pay for it, so I guess something must be done. Yes, I know, you can dwell into some torrenting and illegal backups of the game, but we want proper, legal stuff, easily accessible to anyone. Kula World needs to be rescued. I refuse to believe that it would be a prolongated, shoddy, haggard job like, for instance, GTA Trilogy Definitive Remaster, because Kula World is very simple by design to remaster. Oh well, maybe it's hard to track the ownership of the IP, or maybe it's not, but I'm just overly lazy bastard to research this properly. If the excavation of the games once played in the times of the yesteryear saturated with immense drug called nostalgia is not your forte, there are two alternatives. For the first one, you will need a PC that is powerful as much as any random electrical appliance like toaster or fridge. The game is really not that demanding and it's called Cubosphere. In essence, it's a blatant rip-off of Kula World formula stretched to more than 400 levels. The game, besides copying all the elements of Kula World, has its own sets of challenging elements, level designs, soundtrack, etc. On top of that, there is level editor so you can let your creative juices flow. Unfortunately, the graphic design is, for lack of a better terminology, quite lacking. But if you can pass that, you will get a well-deserved fix. The second alternative is the game called Puzzle Dimension. By design, it's similar to the Kula World. You collect flowers instead of keys to activate the portal you will eventually come through. But the levels are made of platforms instead of cubes, and the overall gameplay feel is not as good as Kula World. It feels just a bit slower and a bit artificial. With balls in Kula World, you would really have the realistic feeling of controlling them, almost as if they're real. And that says a lot for a very old game. But on a plus side, Puzzle Dimension has a selection of nice challenging levels, so at least that aspect is covered very well. Oh yeah, the name is stupid. Couldn't they come up with something more creative? Now wait a minute, if you cannot properly obtain the Kula World without robbing a bank, Cubosphere is a bit dated and not as cool as Kula World, Puzzle Dimension will not make us a bullet, then I believe I've completely wasted your time now. I can see that the game is available for Android with a quick internet search, but I cannot find it there, and trying to open a PS3 store to find it there, well, let's not do that just for the sake of our sanity. So yeah, we can still pray that somebody somewhere will have the rights to the game by accident and have the deepest desire to remaster it, at least.